Harold. I'm an addict. And this workshop is Life on Life's Terms. I want to start off with a moment of silence, please, folks. Moment of silence. Thank you. I wanted to do that to kind of center my thoughts and to get me at a place where I can let God speak through me. You know, you know, it was suggested to me around here, and I heard a lot of people share that anytime Narcotics Anonymous asked to do something, asked me to do something, that I step up. So we came in and we registered, and my sponsor was signing his name in one of the places, and he saw Life on Life's Terms, a spot there. He said, Harold, you put your name down. Now I'm standing behind him. I'm thinking, well, dang, how can I get out of this? I'm gonna be sick tomorrow. The dog ate my homework. Something that I could, And I said, well, hey, all I have to do is tell the truth. All I have to share is my experience, strength, and hope. I may not touch everybody, but I will touch somebody. If nothing else, it'll help free me up. What do I know about living life on life's terms? Well, I understand that before I came here, I had my own ideas about life on life's terms. I was raised by parents that were confused at best. They gave me what they had. They taught me how to. I want to say they taught me how to lie, cheat, and steal, but I did that on my own. It was self-preservation. I lied to keep from suffering the consequences of me doing things wrong. I cheated so that I could get the things that I wanted from my way, and all those other negative things. And I was just really confused as a young man. I got to experience sports at a young age, not because I liked it so much, but because it was a way of me being accepted. I've been this size since I was 14. And at 14 years old, folks were telling me that I should play basketball. I should do this. And I really didn't like the game. I really didn't. But people were coming to me and they were, do you play basketball? Are you going to play? Is this something that's going to be real special in your life? And I'm telling them, yeah. I'm telling them what I thought they wanted to hear, And I'm thinking to myself, I said, man, I don't want to do this. But I mean, they're asking me to do these things, and they're looking forward to me doing them. So I don't want to disappoint them, even though I'm disappointing myself, So I tried it, and I tried to go as far as I could with it, but I really didn't have the heart for it. You got to be disciplined, and you got to be tough, and you got to be willing to sacrifice, and I didn't want to do none of them things. And I went through high school, and I pushed myself to do it, and I tried to be that person that my high school wanted me to be, and it was a real uncomfortable time in my life, So I realized that I'm really nervous, guys. I'm really nervous. I realized that this wasn't going to be easy for me. I went on to college and stayed there as long as I possibly could. I ended up being put out in my second year because I wasn't doing what I was told. People would ask me if I played pro basketball, and I lied to them. Yeah, I went into rookie camp and I did these things. I didn't come nowhere near rookie camp. I just I had a real rough time coming up. I realize today that the things that I'm doing that are life on life's terms is being a decent father. My sponsor and I talk about raising kids now. I've got a teenager that lives with me, and when I come to him and I tell him about the situations and the problems that I have with my teenager, he says, I realize that we have to pray for the ability to keep the urge to be a father, to be a parent, because a lot of times I would just want to back out. And I was watching you with your daughter. I remember when my daughter was real small, and she was fairly easy to manipulate then, I thought. Well, now she's a teenager, and she's expecting all these things from me, and I want to control her. I want to be able for her to do like I wanted to do. And it's really not working, And I know that to be the best father I can be for her, I have to open up and be honest with her, And that's working. Life on life's terms for me today is paying bills that I don't want to pay. I think auto insurance is a waste of money. That money could be used for something else, until I get in an accident, and then auto insurance makes a lot of sense. Makes a whole lot of sense. Light bills, gas bills, those things are money that could be put to better use until the lights go off. I'd rather have that bill money in my pocket and walk around with it, But I also want to be able to turn the light on and the lights come on, not have to worry about that disconnect notice that comes, and I want to see it as I got 30 more days before I have to, pay the bill. This program has afforded me the ability to take care of things in a timely fashion, being up here this weekend and knowing that and listening to the hope in the different workshops and the hugs and the togetherness that's up here is really a hope shot in my life. This is the first time that I've given an open talk in quite a while, and I understand how important it is to step out of myself. That selflessness that you were talking about in the last workshop is important, because I want to be selfish and say I don't have anything to give, and I know I've got a message too, This has been a real positive weekend so far. I shared this earlier today. I realized that I'm a part of a family. This is a family affair. I'm related to everybody in this room by the pain and the consequences of using, and this is a way for me to treat this disease from which there's no known cure. My life on life terms is knowing that it's important for me to be responsible and to do the things that I have to do, even when I don't want to do them. I'll share this and close. There's an old timer that reminds me whenever I see him that there's 3 things that I need to remember. I have to learn how to love, I have to learn how to forgive, and I have to be of service to someone. And that service does not only encompass being of service working here, but when I go out, in the neighborhood to my family, it's difficult sometimes. I didn't realize that I wasn't being a loving person a lot of times, but coming to meetings is a loving act. Working on my recovery is a loving act. Listening and tolerating, being there for my kids is a loving act. Forgiving those people that I feel have wronged me is a loving act. And being a service inside and outside is a loving act, and I'm so grateful to be able to do that. I'm grateful to be here. Thanks for letting me share.
Next, I'd like to introduce Chuck.
Life on life's terms. For many years, I didn't know and I didn't care. because I never knew there was any consequences to it at the tail end of it. And once I found that out, then I sort of took a look at it. And I suppose in the context of the 12 steps, you do an inventory of it, and you take a look at it, and you kind of come to the conclusion that there are parameters or boundaries of behavior that if you stay within, the consequences won't be too damn bad. So therefore, life's terms aren't harsh. And I kind of finally came to grips with that, but oh my God, that was a hard lesson to learn. And sometimes I do regress and forget about it, and I get myself into some goofy ass situations, and then it's but and I think we could all got these god awful stories of things that happened to us through our lives that they would probably illustrate it. And even in recovery, and I kind of laugh about it. I've been around here since 1983. What was that? 26 years. And somebody said, "Oh, 26 years? No, wait. Which is? Let me finish. It's 26 years. Of the 26 years, maybe 4 or 5 years are in recovery. The rest of it is abstinence and what's on the key tags? Serene. About 3 days." And you know, people, oh, yeah, well, hell, I'm older than dirt. I'm supposed to have a zillion years, you know. And I always try to pick out the youngest person in the room, like somebody in their 20s or something like that. And I say, "How much time you got?" And they say, a couple, 3 years. I said, "Well, you'll get to be my age. You'll have over 50 years clean." I mean, so it doesn't mean a damn thing to me. Not really. It's what I've done with it, you know. And but it's funny. And just out of curiosity, how many people are here? This is their first time here, the first year.
All right. Welcome.
Well, welcome. Well, you should have been here 18 years ago.
Did they have lights?
Well, I tell you, life on life's terms for this convention was pretty precarious. 37, yeah. There was 37. Would you believe? Mike and myself had black hair. That's how long ago it was. You know? Well, we had, and it was rainy and cold. Is that the year it snowed? No. That was the year after, wasn't it? Yeah, well, anyway, you know, no one's beautiful like this. And I had the honor of doing a first workshop, and it was raining, and it was about like 30 degrees out in this little pavilion outside here. And the poor guy taping it, we were in there sitting around a picnic table, and the sun came out a little bit. And I said, "To hell with the taping, let's move the picnic table out in the sunshine." Try to stay warm, and oh yeah, this was a grandiose. They planned with, I think, for 200, wasn't it? Yeah, and we had a dance over in the old brick church over here, and that stage underneath is hollow, so it sounded like a bunch of clog dancers. You know, it was. And then to top it off, and there is a loving God, somebody broke in and stole the money from the office up here. And what? And they said, "Forget it, come back." Yeah. And here we are. So this was the, and me and my wife always argued about it. She says, "It's a retreat." It's supposed to be a convention. It's a retreat. But whatever it is, it's a good thing. You know. And you poor people from this area, why there's so many people from Detroit down here, you blame it on my poor wife. Okay. We were the only two from Detroit that came down. I don't know how the heck that worked out. And she went back, and if you knew her, she ordered the people that she sponsored to be here the following year. She ordered them. You knew Betty. Yeah, remember? She will. You meet her. Okay. They'll just do it to shut her up, because she would nag them to death. Yeah, she died clean. What the hell?
Come on now.
Well, that's one of the terms. I promised I wouldn't do this, and damn it, I did it anyway, huh? But anyway, yeah, we were married for 46 years, and the last, I don't know. Well, she was the one that got me into NA. We both relapsed, and anyway, I went to the treatment center, got out in '83, and she went in '85. So I went up to see her. She said, there's some new kind of a damn group. She said, blah, blah, blah. She said, I don't even know what it's called. She said, you want to go to the meeting tonight? And I said, yeah, why not? Well, it was a H&I NA meeting. And I'll never forget that one. You never mind what that book says, that you will never remember what your first meeting, what was said. So it was an H&I meeting. There were 17 inmates. That's what I call people in treatment. They're inmates. And I split us up. And these three guys from H&I, they got the book. And for some reason, I got to read the last line. You know, it's not where we're going. And I pushed the book back to this guy. And he says, none of the three guys at H&I had 90 days clean. So I had a year and a half in AA. So guess who had to lead the damn table? And I stuck with it. I was a GSR for our AA home group. I finished out my term and quit, and never went back. And this is the way it goes. But you know, sometimes the terms of life, we look at them and we say, you know, we're being harshly dealt with and all this stuff. But really, has anything that happened to you, to any one of you, that hasn't happened to a million other people, and they managed to muddle their way through it without using? Well, damn it, we could do it too. So, I finally got to the point that if I do the right things for the right reasons, I can kind of dictate the some of the terms. And that's the freedom. And I think that's what we all strive for, is the freedom. Don't get locked in all this damn bullshit of life where it seems to be everything crashing down upon you, that it overcomes you, overwhelms you, and it will take you out. You will not relapse. You will just pick up. Because I hate that word relapse, because no person that works a program can relapse. Isn't that what it says? Yeah. You choose to pick up, you damn fool. I did it. And anybody else that does it, it doesn't have to be done. Because the last part that goes is the physical part. And you can see it coming in people. And they won't listen. Cut them loose. Let them go. Love them. If they come back, fine. If they don't, mourn them. We'll bury them. And hope the next guy that walks in the door will grasp the concept of the program and will help them. So thanks.
My name's Ryan. I'm an addict. We've got some time left. If anybody has anything they'd like to share on life's terms, feel free to come up.
I'm an addict. My name's Kevin. Life on life's terms. You know, I was around for the first 4 years of my recovery. Came to this convention every year, retreat convention, whatever. And last time I was here was in '03, and back then I was in the middle of a relapse. I hadn't picked up, but I was relapsing. And I didn't know it until I had 5 years to sit behind bars to contemplate that particular thing. You know, I was clean for a long time before I actually found out in the book where it says what our message is, and it's actually and when you read the 12 traditions in the basic text, there's a line under, I don't remember which tradition, that the message is hope, and it is that any addict can lose the desire to use, or stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. And I had never heard that. I'd read that book, the first 10 chapters, I don't know how many times in that time, up till I finally heard somebody say it. And I had never picked up on that. And then I heard someone say that, and it just gave me goosebumps. It was like, yeah, okay, now I get it. Today I was at the selflessness workshop, and the first guy, Robert, was talking and talking about isolation and stuff. And I because of what I went to prison for, my probation is really strict. That's what I'm currently on probation, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it up here this weekend. I had to get permission, and I could only come for a day, so I had to choose between today or tomorrow. And I chose today, even though I probably could have used the workshops tomorrow more than the ones today, but you hear what you hear. And life on life's terms, man, I've been fighting life on life's terms for a little while now recently. Right now life on life's terms for me is go to work, come home, go to a meeting, go to group, go to probation, and don't spend money on anything but the bills. If I want to, if I ever want to get ahead, I need to get ahead before I can start spending money. And I've also found out recently that I am an overly empathic, tarnished white knight. And what that means basically is that when I'm around people, I pick up on how they feel, and I don't always know when what they're feeling is not what I'm feeling. And I want to rescue them, because rescuing them, helping them, stopping their pain or whatever will make me feel better. And so I'm working on that with my counselor. But that's gotten me into a lot of trouble, because it's usually women that I get into those situations with, and the insanity happens, So for me today, life on life's terms is about being responsible, going to work, paying my bills, making meetings. And I learned from going to prison that if I'm not talking to my sponsor, if I'm not going to meetings, I'm not praying, and I'm not talking to other people in the fellowship, I'm relapsing. And I don't have to use drugs to relapse. And relapse for me is death. That's all.
I'm Clayton, I'm at it. I like to thank God for Narcotics Anonymous and you people being here for me. Without y'all, there's no me. For me, living life on terms, I had to talk about what I thought I knew about living life on terms. I didn't know nothing about living life on terms, because it got me in the rooms with Narcotics Anonymous. But God got me in the rooms with Narcotics Anonymous. But doing my own thing helped me get here. In and out of these doors for 20-something years. Making that geographical change from Detroit to Fort Wayne, Indiana. In and out of the doors in Fort Wayne. And until I truly surrendered and went to this place where I'm at. I'm coming up on 2 years clean in another month. Month and some days. But today, do work in this program with Narcotics Anonymous, I'm living life on terms. I'm a marathon runner. I ran from life. You know, people in the streets, I thought that was living life, but it's not. Being a productive member of society, on through the program Narcotics Anonymous, I'm learning how to be a productive member of society, one day at a time, working on the steps, working on me, finding out who I am and who I thought I was, but I wasn't. Today, living life on terms, for me, I had to talk about that selfishness that y'all was talking about earlier in the workshops, because you know, you can see me. The outside appearance looks pretty good. The inside a little better, you know. But I know today it's about going through things in Narcotics Anonymous, and that's only through opening up and listening. You know, listening is an art. If I came in here with a closed mind, I get nothing. You know, today, you know, I came to Fort Wayne and I got married. Some people might say it was a foolish act, you know, married a young lady, have 5 kids. I thought I can handle it because I'm a family kind of guy. I did what I can do, being responsible, taking care of kids like they were mine. But anyway, that marriage was very toxic, very dysfunctional, due to some months back. I got twin daughters too. They just turned 18 yesterday, and they in Detroit. And the same identical relationship with their mother was with my marriage, and I seen it, but I continue to stick in it. You know, I guess I like pain, thinking I can save somebody. My marriage is like a father and daughter relationship. I'm a responsible person today. So due to my marriage, I had to step up out of it. You know, I filed for divorce. But this is the selflessness that I wanted to be selfish. I have 2 daughters with my ex. They're 4 and 2. Their mom's is 35. She thinks she's 21. She has older kids, and she's their friend and not their mother. Household is conducted. My daughter's name is sexually molested by the 15-year-old brother. Before I surrendered to the program of Narcotics Anonymous, I would have got high for that. You know, but I stuck and stayed with the help of where I'm at and the belief and the relationship I have with God. I've been through a lot, you know, stayed clean, didn't find no reason to use. And the selfishness, I'm getting custody of my girls, right? And disease of addiction tells me I can't take care of them. Disease of addiction tells me I want to be selfish, and I want to be by myself. Revert back to some years ago when I used to be a hoe, you know, want to talk to a lot of women, just do my thing, you know. But due to the program Narcotics Anonymous, you know, I know today that I can be a responsible father to my daughters. You know, I can raise them. I have a lot of support. You know, and that's living life on terms today for me. I know it's a big challenge, but I know that I have some support as long as I open my mouth and share where I'm at and utilize the support group that I have, that I can raise my kids, my daughters. Because see, that's what I strive for today. Is because they're mine, they asked to be here. You know, and I know today that only through this program that I'm standing here, you know, living life on terms. Because I truly don't want to be here. You know, I'd rather be somewhere running from life, you know. But through this program, you know, the literature says the only promise that this program has to offer is the freedom from active addiction. Everything else that comes along with it is a blessing. You know, and today I'm reaping and receiving the blessings that from the benefits of this program. You know, by working it, you know, working the steps, because the steps is our solution. Because see, it's showing me today, you know, who I am and who I'm not. You know, I thought I was a zip damn fool, but I'm not. I acted like when I put a move man altering chemical in my body, I acted like a zip damn fool. But without that in my system, I'm a damn good guy. You know, it's not about me. You know, it's about others for me. Cause that's what my God keeps sparing me for. You know, cause I shouldn't be here. The things I done put in my body, the places I done placed myself in, the places He done got me out of. So I had to sit still and just learn how to quit running in and out of these doors, paying the same price for the same seat that's gonna still be here when I get back. You know, I'm just glad to be here. You know, Narcotics Anonymous and you people, you know, that y'all are really, really helped me out in my life today. You know, for me, it's heartfelt, and I get sentimental because, like I say, the things I've been through in these last almost 2 years, man, I shouldn't be. I would want to be somewhere else, isolating with something in my system that I thought that would make me feel better than I did. But see, that I don't have to put nothing in my body to alter my thinking to feel better, because it's only temporarily. If I get on my knees and pray to my higher power, come to a meeting and share, and that can't nothing beat that feeling in the world. You know, so I'm just glad to be here. And I had to share that because I know for me, to only keep what you have, you got to give it away. And see, it might be somebody else that's going through the same thing I'm going through, and that might help them. If not, I know for me, it's helping me. Because see, if I speak what I'm going through, because I'm listening to myself, because it's bouncing off the wall back at me, you know, because disease, you know, like they say about that committee in your brain, tell you can't do this. But see, I know I can't do it, but we can. And that's what it's about, you know. So thanks for letting me share that.
I'm a recovering addict, and my name is Elizabeth. I really don't want to do this, but I have to tell on my disease. I've been using Life on Life's Terms as a crutch, an excuse. I've only been to like 3 meetings in the past 6 months. And I talked to my sponsor about it. Well, I've since got a new sponsor. I work, I go to school, I have to make certain grades to get into the program I want to get in. That's a lot of pressure. I'm a single mom with 2 kids. They got to be up at school 6 o'clock in the morning, and meetings don't get out till 8. I don't even have a meeting in my town. I have to drive an hour to get to a meeting. Meetings last an hour. Then you have to fellowship. Then you have to drive home, and then it's 10 o'clock at night, and I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have a babysitter. So it's like, how do I get to a meeting? How do I do this? And we did have a meeting in Logansport, where I'm from. Plus, I'm in an honor society, which you have to have a certain GPA to get in it, and then they decided they wanted me to be the president. So I'm doing that, which, if I wasn't in this program, I wouldn't be able to do that or any of the things that I'm doing. And I realize that, and I play the tape through, and I look at my kids, and I know, and I haven't felt like using, but I don't feel at peace with myself, because I haven't been to meetings, and I haven't been working on my steps. I do keep in contact with people in the fellowship and stuff, and when I'm on breaks, I try to get as many meetings in as I can. I overdose on meetings during breaks, because that's when I can get in and work my steps and come to Camp Mac and go to meetings. And I just found out today that we are having a meeting start up in my hometown. I was so excited because I wanted one, and I was going to try to push it. And I had to stop doing the meeting before because I just couldn't handle it. Nobody was showing up, and the church was never unlocked, and I was actually even paying the money out of my pocket to keep the meeting going. So somebody called me last week and said that they were interested in starting a meeting. So I called the girl that goes to the church that the meeting was at, and she said, just today I called her, and she said that the preacher called her and wanted her to start the meeting up again at this church. So I'm so excited about that. And now I have a meeting in my own town that I can go to, and I don't have to, because I have a lot of stress, and I feel like, oh, I'm life on life's terms. I have to go to school. I have to raise my kids. I have to do this. I have to pay my bills. And then my spirituality is out the window because I don't have a meeting to go to that's close to me. And now that this meeting is here, and I feel like it's a God thing, and actually the past couple of days I've really gotten back into nature. I felt like I was preparing myself for Camp Mac and kind of de-civilizationing myself to get here. I was helping my stepdad. I was picking rocks in the field. And that's what funded my trip here and my kids to come. And I worked my butt off for 2 days, and I just got back with God, and I got back with myself, and I was able to pay our way to come here. And and then I found out about this meeting today, and we were sitting at the beach, down at the public beach, and my kids are out there swimming, and I was getting all this taken care of on the phone, and I was just like, man, this is great. This is definitely a good thing, and I just really wanted to share that. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. Maybe there's not going to be enough time, and then when I get real nervous, I talk fast too, so. So that's all I have, guys. Thanks.
I'm an addict called Jerry. And I say I'm an addict because I suffer from the disease of addiction. Not that I forgot how to go get it or how to cop, where to go to it, and means to find ways and means to get more, because that's where I come from. At one time I thought living life on life's terms was using, getting locked up, getting put into a psychiatric unit, and I just thought that was my way of life. Until I got introduced to Narcotics Anonymous, after I don't know how many psychiatric units I was in. Because when I started trying to clean up, we didn't have no centers. We didn't have no treatment centers. They would put me on a psychiatric unit, keep me there for 60 to 90 days at a time. No meetings, just community meeting in the meantime, running around with people that had other issues besides addiction. Anyway, I didn't know I suffered from a disease back there until I came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and started listening to the literature. I started listening to the readings and said there were men and women from whom drugs had become a major problem. It didn't say it was the only major problem. It said the major problem. So that means there were some minor problems, I had to get into this and really study this literature because I knew I wasn't crazy. I was the kind of addict that would go in and stick up the same place 3 times in 1 week. When I got tired of doing felonies and going to the penitentiary, I started boosting so I wouldn't catch a felony. But I was the same guy that would steal something from the store, go in there and refund it right after I stole it. But I wasn't crazy. When they talked about the second step and told me that I had to come to believe in a power greater than myself that would restore me to sanity, at one time I thought it was the parole board. Till I started seeing people that I had been in psychiatric units with, and methadone clinics with, in the penitentiaries with, at NA meetings, and I saw them getting clean. So these were the guys that brought me the message of Narcotics Anonymous, because I thought a long time ago I would look at the way you used and the way I used, and if you didn't use the way I used, you wasn't an addict. See, so I had to start reading the literature and find out that I had to look at the similarities instead of the differences. Yeah. And then the literature told me that I got here, my personality was fractured and my spirit was broken. So now I knew why I lived the life I lived and was on them terms. After I had been restored to some sanity in the second step in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, things started happening to me. I got a job. I didn't have a driver's license till I was 41 years old. I didn't know how to get a driver's license for an automobile. I didn't know how to transfer that stuff into my name until I was 41 years old. I was learning how to face life on life's terms, the terms that the system had set up for me. So I had to follow that. Life on life's terms came through me through being abstinence in this program. I started showing up for meetings. So I started getting a routine in my life other than using. Because I did have a routine in my life. I'm just like the literature said, I lived to use and used to live and found ways and means to get more. That was my job. See, that's how come when I got here, I couldn't identify with the guy that drove up in a car or the girl that drove up in a car and talked about a house note and all of that stuff, because I lived in abandoned buildings and abandoned cars. See, that was my stuff, you know. And I ain't trying to get you to look at me and feel sorry for me. I'm just telling you where I've been so I got to the place where I could face life on life's terms. When I paid my first rent at that room I had, I felt good as hell. My self-esteem come up off the ground. Because when I got here, I didn't have no self-esteem. I didn't know nothing about facing life on life's terms the way it was set up for me to face. You know. 3 weeks ago, my brother died. Some of you guys may know him. Like I said, I'm Jerry V. He was George V. He was 3 months short of having 25 years in this program. And he was committed to this program. And you talk about relapsing and stuff, you know. If relapse wasn't a part of our process, it wouldn't be in the book. You know, I know that some people like me, it took me 8 years to get 1 year clean. Then I got 5 years, 7.5 months clean, working at 4 different facilities and going to school at the same time. And I went back out and used. I'm talking about abstinence. When I got clean again in '97, I started working steps with a sponsor. I started taking the suggestions that you gave me because, see, I got around here and I had a lifestyle I was living. I didn't want to leave some of the way I was in because I had survival skills. And I didn't trust this process right off. I couldn't live on life's terms the way you did it because I wasn't there. Till I started working the steps with a sponsor, started getting cleaner, started seeing changes going on in my personality. Because I said, the literature says when I got here, my personality was fractured. I could wear a mask. I could tell you what you wanted me to tell you, you know, but I couldn't be honest about it. Until I picked up the indispensable principles the literature talks about being honest, open-minded, and willing. It says, with these, we are well on our way. If you don't have them, God bless you. I guess that's what they say. You know. Took a lot of meetings. It took starting meetings. Took a lot of step work to be where I'm at today. I came in here to quit hurting. I didn't come in here to quit using. I like what dope did to me. It put me in a world of my own. I didn't have to face you in society in life's terms. You know. But you know what? I had to keep coming up. I had to keep showing up so I could grow up. I was a very minor kid at 41 years old. I was 8 years old emotionally. I ran from my emotions all the time. And sometimes I still run from them today. You know. I can't tell you that I've changed completely. If I suffer from an illness, the book says that's incurable and fatal that I'll have for the rest of my life, that means I got to work on putting myself together for the rest of my life. And that's what I do. You know. I didn't come in here to get a couple of college degrees. After all, I was that guy they put out in the 7th grade with 7 Fs. I even had an F in gym. You know. Today, because of the 7th tradition, I learned how to support myself. You guys trusted me with the 7 tradition money and let me be the treasurer of the group, and I saved a few dollars. I learned how to save a few dollars for myself. You know, I always come into the rooms and I can recall the way it was for me and all the excuses I used to get to a meeting and all the excuses I used not to work steps. Got a partner out of Los Angeles today, man, that talks about taking 1,000,000 steps to cop, but I won't take 12 steps to fix my life. You know, some of that hit me in the head, gave me a push. You know, because that's what the literature and how it works says. These are the steps that made our recovery possible, and I hear it in unison in the meetings. Now, what step you on? Now, I hear a lot of people putting the excuses of their behavior on the disease. Bullshit. You know, the basic text says in the introduction that there's 3 disturbing realizations we must face. We must face our feelings and recover. Yeah. And, you know, I could get up here and say a bunch of good things and maybe piss some people off, maybe help some people. But my brother was dear to me, man. He was my 10th step partner. I miss him. If it wasn't for Narcotics Anonymous, you know, I didn't think about using when he died. That wasn't no option. I had been there before. You know, using ain't never done nothing but made me lose more. You know, so I knew that wasn't the solution. But the people that are in my life, the support group, man. You know, when I got here today, I looked around. This ain't the same Camp Mac I had been at. Spoke here about 18 years ago. I remember in the church, it was a rundown place. Am I right, Mike? Right? It's a lot nicer camp here now, man. I might come back next year. You know, I'm a city guy, man. You know, I'm used to gunshots and ambulances and shit, people yelling and shit, you know what I mean? I ain't hip to them animals and shit, making noises at night, and bugs biting you and shit. That wasn't none of me. You know, so, but I might come back next year and stay the whole weekend, you know. I'm glad this place is here, man. I'm glad they got Narcotics Anonymous. You know, this is a worldwide fellowship, man. And I need to say, man, I've been to Narcotics Anonymous in 3 different countries, man, and Hawaii. You know, and I didn't come into Narcotics Anonymous for that, man. Like I said, I came in here to quit hurting, man. I didn't come in here to get them 2 college degrees, man. I didn't come in here to be the parent I am today to my grandkids, man. You know what I mean? I didn't come in here to be called up and asked, would you be on the board of directors of our treatment facility? We'd like your experience in that area. We know you're a recovering addict. Who, me? Yeah? The guy that got kicked out in the 7th grade in gym class? You know? But anyway, a lot of good things happen on the way to recovery, man. And I know that, like in the chapter of More Will Be Revealed, it says that if we made a list of what we wanted out of this program, we'd be shortchanging ourselves. And you know what? Looking back at what I've got today and where I'm at, I would have shortchanged myself because all I wanted was a little job, you know, to get me a little ride, you know. And, you know, a couple of Italian knits and some Zanzibar belts and a couple of alligator shoes and some nice straw hats and stuff. But, hey, I'm beyond that no more. You know, I don't have the same values and morals that I had when I came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. Working Steps has made a transformation in my life where I don't value the same shit I valued back in 60 and 70, you know. Listen, I got 47 arrests on my record, all of them chemically related. Since I quit using, I ain't been to jail. Check it out. And yesterday I seen my grandson walking down the street about a block away from the house, and he had this is his 2nd year. He's in the 2nd grade. This is his 2nd year, him being summa cum laude, if you guys know what that is. One of the highest grades in the school. And he had his little watch in his bag. Man, I turned around. Last month they took his cell phone from him at the park. You know what I'm saying? And the police stopped me and he said, man, you made a U-turn. You was on the wrong side of the street. I said, officer, I was trying to get to my grandson. Last month they took his cell phone. He got his watch from, and I gave him this story I'm giving you. He said, you know what, go ahead. Could have gave me a ticket, man. I'm telling you, the God of my understanding that I found in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous is with me at all times, man. You know, and I never get put on hold, man. Never. I got a direct line for that daily reprieve. That's I'm gonna take all this time.
Can I have an addict come up and read Just for Today, please? Do it.
My name's Kerry. I'm an addict. Just for today, tell yourself. Just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for today. I will have faith in someone in NA who believes in me and wants to help me in